Jim Strahle, happy birthday, old feller. Nancy asked me if I could share just a few memories. I'll try to tell things that won't get either one of us in too much trouble. And so anyhow, here goes. First met Jim probably back in about 1974, 1975 when he was working at Intercollegiate Press. And I, in some wild hair, decided before I moved back to Iola that I wanted to sell some Amway. So I went out and tried to sell him some Amway product to clean the screens out in the silk screening department at Herff Jones, or Intercollegiate Press at that time. Daughters were in the same class. We got acquainted that way and ran onto one another. But then in 1986, when we had an exchange student, we decided to go to the Mulberry River down in Arkansas and go canoeing. And Jim was one of them that went along, and as you can imagine, he probably took a camera and also took some pictures. So we did some canoeing off and on for a number of years after that. In about 1988 or thereabouts, Jim bought out Iola Video, and then later on moved over to the building that was on Madison Street. And one day in '89, after I'd moved down onto the square, he came over and he said, you've got to come over and see this video. He said, man, this thing is the best thing since sliced bread. And if 4 people could go together and buy one of these, it's only $5,800. And he said, it flies under a parachute. And he said, I mean, how much safer could you ask than that? And, you know, the chances for somebody getting hurt on that, that's not really realistic. And I said, Strahle, I said, at this point, after just starting this business, my fourth of $5,800 is all the money in the world, and it's just not going to happen. So he and I continued to be friends, and do various things together. Then in 1994, he managed, as a member of the press, if you will, maybe stretching just a little bit. But he managed to get himself on a military flight on a KC-135 to go with some dignitaries to the country of Belize to visit a project that the local National Guard Engineering Battalion was working on. And not to be outdone, I managed to hornswoggle my way onto to the same flight, and so we hung around together in Belize and had a really good time. Then earlier in 1994, I had seen a thing on TV about the latest thing in personal aviation called the powered paraglider, and I looked at it and I thought, man, I've got to do that. And but I didn't know where to get one, didn't know what to do. Finally, about 9 months later, I saw some of them out in Aspen, Colorado, got a paragliding magazine, and checked into what they would cost. Once again, all the money in the world. So I said, I'm going to make one of these things. And Strahle, with his ever-handy video camera and photography abilities, was there most of the time when I was doing something crazy. He took pictures of me flying the paraglider, and then we had one time he was decided to drive the one that we had, kind of like a go-kart, before we did anything with it. And he neglected to realize that there were no brakes on this thing as he came up behind the van where he was being photographed. Then finally I got it to the point where I was willing to take it out and take it for a flight. I guess I ought to back up. In 1995, in the fall, I ordered a paraglider from a fellow in North Carolina, and as soon as we got it in, Strahle and I took it out to the farm out in our meadow, not either one realizing that it was, how should I say, too dead-gum windy. And so it pulled me over on my rear end, and so then we decided, well, let's hook it to the pickup truck. So he pulled it a little bit. That didn't work out very good. We tried it again. That didn't work out very good. Finally I said, okay, we don't want to let out too much rope, but let's let out some rope enough that we can be safe, and you give it a little more gas. And by that time we'd worked our way closer to the pond where there were some big cottonwood trees. He took off, and my paraglider took off like a homesick angel. Next thing you know, I'm probably 150 feet in the air looking down on the pickup truck, All of a sudden it starts taking a hard turn to the left, and I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. And about that time the tow bridle snapped. I was immediately trued up straight and level, but I was looking at the tops of these tall cottonwood trees. So I applied the brakes very carefully but aggressively, landed on the ground with no problem, said, Strahle, we're done for the day. Let's go to town. I went directly to church where my wife was, and she was not happy with me because I hadn't gone to the Maundy Thursday service. And so we both escaped that one. Later on, I got in October of 1995, I finally got my homemade put together. Strahle went out and videoed me trying to do a test hop, and of course that didn't turn out well. I felt like it was underpowered, and one thing led to another, and we decided not to do that. 1998, I got a new Buckeye powered parachute. And then not too awful much later, probably late 98 or early 1999, Strahle went out and flew my brand new powered parachute. Now, you know it takes a special friend to let you go fly your brand new machine, and but anyhow, he did. Later on, he went out and bought his own, and we did some flying together, and had a great time. We both are reveling in the fact that over the course of the centuries, everybody's wanted to fly, and here we were able to do that with this pretty simple flying machine. So anyhow, here's just a few memories. I've not said anything that will get you in deep trouble, nor myself. I want to wish you the happiest of birthdays, and welcome to the official point in your life where you become a geezer. So happy birthday. We have to grow old, but we don't have to grow up. See you, buddy.